Welcome to my home apiary here where I live. I'm so happy to share with you the joy that I find in the bees. Thank you very much for coming along. Welcome to the Be Well project. And I really do mean welcome. The bees welcome us every time we go into their hive to work with them and to form our partnership with them. Now the bees, I've put the lid back onto their colony and they're left to their world to get on with their jobs of the day. And we've come into my kitchen where I do most of my thinking, all of my writing, all of my planning for what I'm going to do in the day. My history as a beekeeper is quite serendipitous. I needed a job and I was a hard worker and I'd taken a course in beekeeping and I wrote to a man in Winnipeg, Dr. Cam J. Who knew he was famous? I didn't, but he was a world-renowned beekeeper researcher. And he hired me for 2 summers of work and he gave me 2 colonies. And the very first time he let me go into the colony and I went into that world of the honeybee, I just got lost in that world and fascinated. And I fell in love with the bees. And it's been 55 years. I am still in love with those bees. It is an uncomplicated love. I am the youngest of 6 in my family. There's a 15-year age gap, and some of my brothers and sisters are now moving into senior residences. And it's made it very personal to me to go into these residences and see how hard the people there are working to make life meaningful for them. And especially with my sister, watching her build a whole new community in her latter years has been wonderful. And I thought that if we could bring something like the bees into the world of this residence and get the residents out reconnecting with the land that many of them grew up on, with the food that they eat, connecting with pollinators and understanding the role of pollinators in their food chain, also introducing the seniors to all the positive elements that come out of the hive that can help us stay healthy. It just made total sense. And I live in the neighborhood where there's 2 senior residences. And a few years ago, I was asked to go for a cup of coffee and a bit of lunch to discuss how I might be able to provide an authentic experience for the seniors living in those buildings. And we wanted it to be local. And so while we were talking, it just came to our minds that the bees are a wonderful vehicle, a wonderful creature to work with, to show people how to build community, how to stay healthy, how to work with one another. And so we came up with this Be Well project. And we started with one residence. And the idea was that it would be with a local beekeeper, with local bees, and that the residents come out on field days and see those bees, that the residents might sponsor a beehive for the beekeeper, and that beekeeper would then keep track of how their bees were doing, keep track of the honey made by those bees, and at the end of the season, bring the honey to the residents and actually extract the honey there. So that residents got to see the whole season, the 4 seasons of beekeeping. I just think that you're never too old to learn something new. Uh, and this is one of the wonderful things I love about beekeeping. I've been at it now for over 55 years, and I still don't get it completely. I still have to pay attention, read new books, go to conferences, watch what's happening with my bees. So to educate myself, to then share what I know with other people about honeybees, about pollinators, it just keeps life real, to keep an open mind. It's May here in British Columbia, and it seems that many, many things are in bloom. In my back garden, the chestnut tree is in bloom. It's a massive tree. It represents about 5 acres of land just in that beautiful tree. So everything's in bloom. It's warm. Nectar is flowing. The bees are growing. So my job at this stage of the year is to keep up with the growth of my bees. My bees have come through winter. Sometimes we lose bees in the winter time. So we have to make up for our losses. We have to look after our livestock and give them some food to help them get going in the spring. And now the flowers in nature has taken over and they're going to grow. So every day I get up, I get into my bee clothes, same clothes every day. Uh, get my tools, not too many tools in beekeeping. A smoker is good to keep things calm in the bee yard, my tool and the veil. And I go out and I go to every yard, usually with a plan. For instance, this week it was to give space for them to grow. But every time you go into the yard, something new comes along. One colony is behaving in a different way, and it's my job to find out what's going on inside those colonies and how can I best support them. And this actually takes me through the whole year, right up into November, December, where in this part of the country our bees cluster for the winter and I can relax a little bit. But basically, I'm a farmer, although I own no land. I have relationship with all the farmers in the area who allow me to put bees on their property. And of course, some of the farmers need me to have bees there so that they can have their crops pollinated. So my bees are working on apple orchards, in pumpkin fields, blueberry fields, a few cherry orchards as well, and then mixed vegetables. They're busy and they make delicious, complex country honey. Back when I was an undergrad at university, I was working in a greenhouse and I was told to sweep the floor. And when I started to sweep the floor, I just made a mess. And the mentor there, the prof, came over to me and he said, "Has no one ever taught you how to sweep a floor?" No one had. And he taught me how to sweep a floor. And it was just the most beautiful process of working slowly, calmly, not to raise dust. And that little lesson on paying attention to the smallest detail in my life as a task and doing it properly has stayed with me all my life. And I would say that beekeeping is full of many little tasks that are not very grand, but they need to be done properly. The other day when we were scraping the boxes, is that, a hive tool scraping off the boxes. This became meditative for people. And that's what happens with the bees. Somehow you start to focus on things with the same kind of detail that the bees focus. And it feels good to do any kind of job, no matter how menial it might seem, to do it well. And it becomes meaningful. And I was talking to one of the residents at over in Langley last week, and she worked really, really hard. She scraped boxes, she painted boxes, she helped sweep the floor, and then she always helps take everything to the truck for me at the end of the session. And I was thanking her profusely. And she said, no, I want to thank you because that felt meaningful. And she just said she finds it very hard to find meaningful activities in a day. Then that she actually looked forward to the work sessions we've been doing. I hope that by coming to these sessions and doing the activities involved with these sessions, that you will find some peaceful times. You will find some times when you're actually just thinking about what we're talking about, the bees, and being amazed by the bees. I hope that it will give you a reason to maybe get up on that day and get out and make that effort. One of the things about beekeeping, really, for me, it's a reason to lift up my head, look around, see what's going on, and then get to work. And I find often my mother used to tell me, just keep moving, keep doing tasks, keep at it. And you do the task, and the task turns around and looks after you. So somehow these things make us feel better. I don't fully understand it. I just feel it. Like everything in life, sometimes you're surprised by joy. C.S. Lewis wrote a wonderful book about that. And the same thing applies to the bees and about honey. It's so much more than honey. It's more than just looking at the bees. It's about living, and it's about living to the very end, I think. And that's my intention. Keep beekeeping as long as I can, and to keep sharing everything that I'm learning about the bees for as long as I can, to enrich our lives and to protect the bees and the pollinators. So today you're going to taste some honey, and you'll find that some are different colors, some have different consistency, some are like velvet, some are thick, some are runnier. They can be spicy, they can be sweet, they can be complex. Sometimes a flavor hits the front of your tongue, and then by the back of your tongue, it's a completely different flavor. They're marvelous. Crystallized honey, creamed honey, infused honey. I'm sure that you're going to have lots of fun there, and then choose your favorite one or two, or like me, your favorite 20.